Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Hey everybody, welcome to Season 2, Episode 68 of the Chain Out Podcast. I'm Jeremy. With me as always is your favorite co-host, Daryl, with the magic finger numbers there. What were you doing there?
Yeah, I tried to do 68. It was a last minute thing. It didn't work out.
That's our improv skills coming into play, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, guess what, Daryl? I did it.
You did what?
We talked to Rebecca and we talked to Noah last week. I told you that I needed to work on my accommodations.
Yeah.
Got them all figured out. Got a place right in those apartments near Aperture.
Right.
So we got a VRBO there, and I am registered for spring runoff, baby.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Unfortunately, things didn't work out for me.
Yet.
We'll say yet. Yeah, I might win the lottery.
Yeah, you never know. Well, I did that, and I also signed up, and I encourage everybody else, I signed up for a volunteer today as well.
Nice.
Just to see if I can maybe, spot for a couple hours or something like that in between rounds.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like we said last week, no one has ever said, no, we've got too many volunteers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's never been a problem.
Exactly. If you're going down the spring runoff, sign up for a volunteer slot.
Yeah. And we mentioned the false spring that we've been experiencing, this nice warm weather. I don't want to jinx it, but I think it may be holding up so close that I think the snow is going to be melting at places like Niska-Pisquak. And you and I have not been out to that course in a while. We should get out there. And the one thing about getting out there is we need to have an EDGA tag.
We do.
We do.
It's only for EDGA members.
Yeah. And we never talked about them. They've kind of keep changing them every year, don't they?
They've changed it the last 3 years that I know of, or this year included. They started metal tags when we first got them, and then Innova came out with some, what I think were the better tags. They were kind of a foam, laminated plastic tag, a little bit bigger. They had a nice QR code on them. They were color. Yeah. Probably still got one on my bag over there somewhere. But they decided, they put out a survey. Did everybody like the metal tags? Did they like the Innova tags? And what came back was nobody really cared whether they were metal or what they were made out of. So they ended up going with the metal tags, which were the cheaper option.
Right.
Now, so the tags were available at Welcome Day, which was also part and parcel with the Tundra Toss event. Mm-hmm. When we first walked in, one of my first questions was, because I'm on the board now.
Yes.
Like, surely it's got to come with some perks.
Right.
Do I get to select a tag? Or is there a certain range that we can select from? I wasn't told that there was any certain range, so I just went for my favorite number.
Which was?
And it'll be the lowest that I've ever gotten. But I don't know if you can see that, but I'm number 13.
Number 13. And those are nice. They're a bit bigger than the other metal tags, and they got a 2-color there, so some of them are red, blue, green. Yours is silver.
So what the scheme is I believe 1 to 10 is gold. 11 to 99 is silver.
Okay.
No, sorry. 11 to 49 is silver. 50 to 99 is bronze.
Gotcha.
So you've got gold, silver, and bronze for the top 100. And then from 100 to 199, I believe, is red. 200 to 299, green, blue, and then black.
Gotcha.
So you've got the 4 different colors. But the ones that you're sought after, if you care about playing for tags, gold, silver, and bronze.
So you've got a silver tag, so everyone's coming out for you. So in the comments, if you want to challenge Daryl immediately for number 13.
That'll be the highest that I'm going to have all year. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or the lowest, should I say. Yeah.
Well, I went a little bit different with my strategy. I got number 111 because I'm number 1 3 times. And I figured maybe no one's going to take that away from me or try to. So,
what color is your disc?
I don't know, blue or red or something like that. It's not one of those top ones.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to go out there on a hot take. I'm on the board.
Yes.
I voted on this.
Okay.
I don't like metal tags.
Oh.
For that reason.
For the noise.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, besides the tags, another thing that we do on this show is a lot of our guests have given us discs and different things to give away. And just lately, we've been hearing from a lot of them. So the Spencer Young giveaway, which was from like last year, that finally got out to one of our winners.
Yeah.
Kevin,
one of the 2 we know that have received.
Got it. So I'm guessing they both would have got it.
Yeah.
Kevin Topping has got his disc sets. We talked to Lane Mosolf and Chris Hartman, and they've either already or just shipped those discs.
Yeah.
And what we want to ask you to do is that if you do win one of our prizes, send us a picture, send us a video, something like that. We want to share it on our socials, celebrate the fact that all these guests have given us these wonderful giveaways and that they are getting to the people that they're supposed to get to.
Yeah.
So
Good segue, Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
Speaking of Discape discs,
Yes.
if you're in the Edmonton area and you're looking for a fun new tournament to play, maybe you want to try some new plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Myself. So it's a lot of firsts for me this year.
Yes.
First time on the board. First time TDing an event.
Congratulations.
It's only a 3-disc challenge. I got to start somewhere, but 3-disc challenge. Look for it on Disc Golf Scene. The Great Discape, powered by Edgar.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I don't know what you
Yeah.
want me to do yet because I'm either going to play if you want me to play,
Yeah.
or I'll volunteer if you want me to volunteer. I'm there at your disposal. I'm excited for this one.
There you go. Yeah.
So
At the moment, I want you to sign up and play. Numbers are a little thin, but I mean,
if
it's
it
only
fills
been
up,
open.
you'll let me drop.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
No, it's only been open a couple of days, so yeah, definitely look out for it on Disc Golf Scene.
Yes.
I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Another thing we're going to let you know is, I know everybody subscribes to the show. Make sure to hit the bell as well, because that's going to give you notifications, let you know when we go live like this, and let you know when our episodes come out. So we encourage you to do that. And we are proudly sponsored now by 2 sponsors, Cardinal Disc Golf and BR Disc Golf. And you can use the code CHAINOUT at each of the respective companies to get 10% off your purchases on checkout. So Cardinal Disc Golf will make sure you have the cool threads you need to look good on the course, and BR will make sure you have the discs to throw well on the course. You're going to be covered.
Yeah, absolutely. What more could you want?
Well, you might want an amazing goat towel. So use COP15 to get 15% off there. And maybe it's still cold outside where you live and you just want to play a board game, go to Change the Disc Golf board game, put Chain out there, and you'll get 25% off. So that's it, Daryl.
We give away discs. We have
Yeah.
discounts.
What else
Great
can you
content.
ask for? Yeah.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate you guys, because all the listening, all the subscribing, all the following that you're doing is giving us the opportunity to get these discounts and then give them back to you. So thank you.
There you go.
And then after the Chain Out podcast, be sure to go over to our Patreon, see our free link to join us and watch our Patreon episode live for even more disc golf content.
You have to sign up for a free tier at minimum,
And you'll get
and
the
then you'll
link.
get the link.
And you're going to want to join us tonight. We're going to talk about how our Canadian pros did down in Florida at the first Disc Golf Pro Tour event this year. Sophia Donica is going to jump in, and she's going to give us probably about 20 minutes of her time or so. Tell us about that tournament.
Whatever she's got, yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about how it went down in New Zealand. We've got a glow-in-the-dark or a glow disc golf item that we're going to test out and do like a live review. So we'll do that. Mm-hmm. And I've got a mail call for us too, Daryl.
You do?
I do.
2 in 1 week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
So we'll do all
For
of
us?
that afterwards. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
For us, not for me, for us. We might fight over it, but it'll be for us.
Okay.
But before all that, we've got a guest patiently waiting for us. And why don't we get to it?
Let's do it.
Tonight, we have one of Canada's best MPO players joining us. His rating of 1013 was the 4th highest in Canada last year. They say 3 is a magic number, and it sure was for our guest. He placed 3rd at the Swedish Championships, 3rd at Canadian Nationals, and 3rd at the WFDF 2024 Team Championships in Australia. We are happy to welcome Max Regitnig to the show.
How's it going, guys? Thanks
Good,
for having
Max.
me.
Yeah, nice. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, we are
hoping to turn those 3s into 1s at some point. So.
Yes, exactly. I think that's what we all. Well, I'd like to turn my 100s into 3s and then maybe get to 1s.
Yeah,
But
3 digits down to 2 digits.
yeah, exactly. Well, we've been excited to have you on the show. I got a chance to quickly meet you at Nationals, and we talked about having you on, and I'm glad that it's finally been able to come together. So I don't know, Max, but about Daryl, but my first time actually getting to see you was on the Parked Pro Northern Flights podcast, where you were a regular guest host with Matt and Andre. So we're figuring that tonight should probably be a breeze for you. Are you feeling pretty comfortable?
Yeah, I'm usually on their setup in Andre's basement, so it's usually better sound quality and picture quality, but we'll make it work in the home office today.
You're looking good, sounding good. That's all I know.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it a lot of times. You've got that deep voice that's great for podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, it usually doesn't carry as well in social encounters, so maybe just on the mic it comes up better. But also sporting the buzz cut now,
Yeah.
starting
Yeah.
fresh.
Is that sticking around?
Mostly just a restart.
Right.
I had quite long hair going into the winter, so I was just like, yeah, wanted a fresh start.
Is that the same thing for your beard too? Because I've seen it get pretty big in the past as well.
That's kind of a work in progress. I just kind of, yeah, feel how I'm feeling for the week, month, year. So sometimes it gets to dare along,
Yeah.
but yeah, keeping it short pretty recently.
Jeremy's just asking because he's jealous.
I'm a little challenged when it comes to
Yeah,
both
follicle
beard and
challenged.
exactly. Well, how's it out in Invermere right now? Is the weather kind of doing what it's doing here? Is it starting to warm up and melt out there?
Yeah, no, it's been really nice. We essentially got rid of all of our snow. Um, some snow in like, yeah, shady spots, but
Yeah.
mostly clear. And the high school field that I usually throw at, yeah, no snow there. Even though they like clear the track there during the winter anyways, so even if there's snow on the field, you can still have something to throw off of. So I usually get they have the football uprights as well, so those
Right.
are nice to kind of do some field work there and have some sight lines. And but yeah, it's been really warm. Got a little bit of snow this week here and there, but none of it's really sticking. So
Okay.
hoping to get some rounds in soon. Was gonna go down to play Wycliffe, but I think they usually get a lot more snow than everywhere else.
Right.
But yeah, might do a college run here soon.
Yes.
Raven's Nest is still a bit on the treacherous side for hills and slopes and that, so keeping it on the field for now.
Gotcha. If you
Nice.
head the other direction, do you ever head up to Nipica and play there?
Nipica, I mean, it's again, yeah, in the park essentially, so it's probably a bit more snow covered. I don't know about the elevation either, but I love playing that course. Like, it's really nice. It's still like 45 minutes from my house,
Okay.
so it's still a bit of a drive. So at that point, I'm probably just gonna go down to Wycliffe.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, we've heard when we had Casey on, he was telling us all about Wycliffe and everything that's down in the Cranbrook area. And yeah, he sold it pretty good. He told us, head down there, play those courses, keep going south, go play Caliber, and you're going to have a great weekend of disc golf kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Wycliffe is, I mean, I think they've got the top three spot right now for Canadian courses.
Okay.
Okay.
Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe it's BC and then top
Okay. Yeah.
10 or something. It's really, really highly rated and rightfully highly rated. I think it's got a lot of potential for some big tournaments in the future. They probably need one more to maybe do a nationals bid, but I mean, it's been, yeah, really impressive to see what they've been able to accomplish there. And they've always had the college, even though it's not quite like a tier level course, but I mean, it's a nice mix between short, technical, woodsy, and then Wycliffe being a bit more open and longer. And then I think they have the Idlewild like pitch and putt style course.
Okay.
Right.
So they've got a lot going on there, and hopefully we can kind of ride that wave and get Invermere on board because we don't really have like other than Raven's Nest, it's a big drop off there. Like we have a small kind of pitch and putty course in Radium, but
Mm.
it's yeah, kind of hot and cold with support from the community and not sure if we're getting a full green light to really do stuff there. So hopefully we can get some more land to work with and get a couple more courses in the valley.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that area is so nice in the summer. My parents used to have a timeshare at Fairmont. So I'd been out there a number of times and just that whole area right from when you come across the pass and you go through the rocks at Radium and then all the
Yeah,
way down. It's just a fantastic place. It's a perfect place for disc golf, I think.
for sure. And I mean, Golden and even is it? Oh, what's the little town before that? I mean, it has the Go Organic Sport Ranch that's been there since like the 80s or something. But yeah, they have a pretty good community there with a couple courses. Yeah, I think Invermere is just. I think it's tough to find land that is not like environmentally protected or
Yeah.
yeah, whatever. Crown land that they don't really want anybody trespassing or whatever. But yeah, hoping we can find some room for some more courses here.
Nice.
Yeah. I just looked it up. So what I can see is that it was Wycliffe was number 2 in BC in 2024, number 3 in Canada in 2023.
Okay.
But we do have somebody in the chat that says that it's number 16 in Canada.
Oh,
right now.
now it is? Okay.
Now it is, yeah.
Well, we got to get that back
Raptors
up
Knoll
there.
is number 1, so.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder if that's is it just ratings on UDisc or how are they getting that? Are
Yeah,
they voting? I don't know.
It's that gray area, right?
Yeah. So then when everybody rates it high, it could be just like a small percentage point that makes a big difference on where you end up in there.
Yeah.
One guy who's disgruntled because he lost his favorite disc. Well, Max, at the beginning of our interviews, we like to find out how our listeners got into disc golf, but we don't want to just straight up ask you. We like to have a little fun. So I create a totally far-fetched origin story about you. Gives you time to think. Our listeners try to guess what movie I've based it on, and I'm all set. So here we go. Maybe you found disc golf when you were younger, and you were pretty good at it. As a streetwise kid, you were able to make a few bucks at your weekly doubles rounds when your partner wasn't monkeying around. One day, while throwing frisbees at Kinsman Beach, you saw a glint of gold in the sand. Upon a closer look, it was a golden disc. Rubbing the sand off it and turning it over, you saw someone had written on it, "Make 3 wishes." And you could have sworn you saw some mist rise from the disc. You said to yourself, why not? And wished to have an amazing disc golf sponsor, travel the world, and be one of the best Canadian MPOs. Years later, all 3 of these wishes came true, and you think back to that day on the beach. Nah, that couldn't have been how you got into disc golf. So why don't you tell us how it really happened?
Yeah, pretty close. Maybe not on Kinsman Beach, but I mean, like a lot of people, my dad played when I was young. He probably started in late 90s, I would say. So I probably threw my first disc when I was 6 or 7 years old.
Wow.
And we did it as kind of a family thing, me and my siblings. And I mean, probably College of the Rockies in Cranbrook, probably the first course that we played that had baskets at it. We had kind of a course around here, but it was kind of just tape on trees and natural tee boxes. So it was very organic introduction to the sport. And then we moved to New Jersey in 2005, 2006.
Wow.
And the closest course there was actually Steve Brinster's home course.
Wow.
Warwick Town Park.
Yeah.
So yeah, got to be introduced to those guys pretty early. I was about 10 or 11 years old at the time. And yeah, that's when we got PDGA numbers in 2005. Started playing some junior tournaments there. I think there was like a national tour that they hosted that Ken Climo was actually playing.
Okay.
So got to see him up close and personal pretty early. I probably had no idea or didn't care really who he was. Just that he had funny looking ears.
Somebody said it.
But yeah, so kind of also like throughout my youth kind of came in waves with the interest in disc golf. Like early, it was just a family thing, only did it with my dad and siblings. And then kind of, got introduced to the US culture and those guys who, obviously tour full time and do the national tour back in the day. But then, moved back to Invermere 2007. Kind of just went back to school sports, playing hockey, playing basketball and volleyball in high school. And still playing disc golf a little bit here and there. A couple of my buddies were pretty into it as well. We tried, making a little backyard course here and there, but never really. I don't even think. I think I might have played a couple tournaments sprinkled in. I'd have to check my PDJ page for that,
Yeah.
but definitely not on like a regular basis or anything. When I really started playing tournaments again was moving to Sweden in 2016.
Okay.
My mom's Swedish, so I had a both passports and dual citizenship. So
Yeah.
moved there in 2016, and I mean, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Norway, they all have really, really strong disc golf communities, and
Yeah.
the courses are, I mean, they have courses left and right, and the clubs are really, really well run and really well supported.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so was looking for something to do in Sweden, and I was playing volleyball in the winters.
Yeah.
And then looking for something to do in the summer, and I didn't even have my discs with me. They were waiting still in Canada. But stumbled upon the courses in my town, which we had two really good 18-hole courses in town. So, and one of the probably stronger disc golf clubs in Sweden.
Okay.
So tons of people that were really keen on getting new people into the sport, and I would say like Sweden is really, really good with, they have so many tournaments and like little mini tours for all skill levels. So like if you're brand new to the sport, there's clubs that have people that just want to play with new people.
Right.
If you're ready to take that next step, there's regional tours, like local tours, and then very extensive, like almost professional tours.
Okay.
I think they have 6 or 7 A tiers every year.
Right.
And just like it's just like a lot more professional of a sport, where coming from Canada, I really only knew it as just like a pastime, like a hobby
Yeah.
that nobody really did. Didn't really even know about or like forgot that there was a pro side to it.
Yeah.
And like didn't know that people did that full time as a sport. So
Right.
I actually went to I think it's the European Masters that they used to have at Järva in Stockholm.
Right.
And that was the first time seeing, Paul, Ricky, all the big pros. And watched that the one weekend, and I was like, this is cool. I'd very much like to do this.
That's awesome. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things there that you mentioned. Something that I meant to say to you when you first joined us here. People that have watched the podcast know that I'm not the expert at this. Jeremy is going to do a better job, but I want to try. I want to say, hey, och, welkom de podden. Good? No?
Pretty decent.
Okay.
A little harder on the consonants, but
okay. Well,
hej och välkommen till podden.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it sounds exactly the same. So how long did you live in Sweden for? Like after you left New Jersey?
Yeah, so New Jersey was only, I think not even 2 years.
Okay.
When I was pretty young.
Yeah.
Came back to Invermere, finished high school, did a few years of uni, and then, moved to Sweden in 2016. So I was 22, and it was partially to just renew my passport and citizenship, because they brought in this new law that if you weren't born there, you had to renew or like essentially prove that you are Swedish before you turn 22 years old.
Okay.
Which my sister learned the hard way and had to do a whole bunch of more paperwork. Could have sent paperwork to the embassy and all that, but figured I'd make a summer out of it and go to Sweden, and spent 6 years there. So I was there from 2016 to 2022, and then I guess start of 2022, and then went on tour from there.
Right.
Okay.
So
So that's kind of when you say that, yeah, I spent 6 years there one summer. Is that kind of how you word it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and then you came back and then you started touring on the pro tour, and that's where really things started to ramp up. And then were you then excited to start playing with the Pauls and the Rickies, and were you making it onto some of those cards?
Yeah. Actually, it was my first year on tour. I made a chase card at the Portland Open, and that was my first time
Nice.
playing with Paul. And yeah, that was a pretty crazy experience just because, I mean, you play with the big names and it's something, but you play with Paul Macbeth and it's like playing with Tiger Woods. They just
Right.
he brings a crowd with him no matter what.
Yeah.
Probably Gannon and AB are probably pulling that same kind of clout now,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this was my first year on the pro tour, and I think I tied the hot round the round before, and
Nice.
then
Okay.
yeah, got on this chase card. I think it was Gatekeeper that did the coverage. So if you
Oh, so
guys
it's out
want
Yeah.
there
to,
for us to watch.
yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I definitely have watched that probably 100 times. So
Always like motivation. Hey, whenever maybe you're
yeah,
feeling like you're slumping or something, just go back to that video.
for sure. And I don't think I played terribly. I mean, I definitely didn't play to what I hoped I would have been able to, um, but yeah, I mean, those courses in Portland are amazing. I heard Noah that he said
Yeah.
that it was one of his bucket list events to play, and yeah,
Yeah.
like it's probably one of my favorite just because they have the two now they have the two on the Glendevere ball golf course property.
Right.
But yeah, really well done, really professional event, and yeah, so it's a pretty crazy experience playing with Paul Macbeth there, and yeah, I mean, playing on the pro tour for 3 years, and for me having a low PDGA number definitely helps to play with those
Right.
like legend players. Like I think I've played 30 rounds with Garrett Gurthey just because we
Yeah.
have such close PDGA numbers that it yeah, for any tiebreaker we end up kind of being clumped together.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, kind of a lucky by default get to play with the older, yeah, like Garrett Gurthey, I think James Conrad, Paul Ulibarri, Paul Macbeth.
Nice.
Actually, we both have really similar or close PDGA numbers, so it it definitely helps if I do play that really hot first round. I'm probably playing with those older guys. So,
Right.
um, but
That's
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and you brought up too your volleyball, and Daryl says my research for these episodes sometimes borderlines on stalking, but when I was scrolling through your Instagram right to the very beginning, you've got some videos in there which I couldn't believe. I've got to get Daryl to watch them of the vert that you had in your volleyball days. Are you still in that kind of shape? And have you ever tried to maybe use it on a jump putt to get a little closer?
yeah. I don't know how much it translates to disc golf. I mean, I think a lot of body control and like being conscious of what your body is doing, it definitely helps. But yeah, still play a little volleyball and basketball in the off season. We have some drop-in leagues here in Invermere that I play essentially every week. So that's really nice to do some cross training, get the cardio
Mhm.
back, and yeah, just have fun with the guys. But yeah, so played quite a bit of volleyball in Sweden. Played in the highest league there,
Okay.
and so yeah, played that pretty seriously and competitively, but very injury prone sport. So I was
Right.
like, maybe this isn't a long term thing for me. But yeah, always been a jumper. Did high jump volleyball or high jump, long jump, triple jump in track and field growing up. Basketball, loved basketball going in high school. And yeah, so the jumping was always kind of my skill that I brought to the sport.
Gotcha.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you had heard us mention at the beginning of when we were introducing you about 3 being that magic number. and you had 3 events that you placed third in. We kind of wanted to talk a little bit about each of them, starting with the Swedish Championships. So Daryl, I don't know if you knew this part, but they were held in Knoll, Sweden at the Ale, not the Ale, the Ale Disc Golf Center, with 4 rounds over 4 days. Max, why don't you tell us a bit about your experience at that event?
Yeah. Okay. All props to Dennis Augustsson. He's a world-class player. He won the European Championships the year before as well, and I think the Swedish Championships that year as well. I didn't play that one, but yeah, he played lights out. That course is going to be hosting a pro tour this year.
Right.
Perfect.
And it's my favorite course I've ever played. We played national tours there, and a lot of they had a pro tour, or like a European pro tour event there, and a couple years before that they had I think it was Simon, Big Germ, and a couple other Americans come out, and it was like right before European Open or something, so they kind of clumped that together.
Yeah.
But that property, it was actually at risk of I think he actually did sell it, the property.
Okay.
Right.
The owner of the course, and I think it was like 2 or 3 years that it was just being untouched and just sitting there.
Really?
And then there was a group of Swedes that put a bid on it and essentially just resuscitated it, like just brought it back to life. And playing it before with the original ownership, I mean, it was a world-class course already, but now the new owners have really just taken it to the next level, and it's immaculate. I think they just put in a huge pro shop kind of complex thing for the event in, I think it's late May or early June next year, or this year.
Gotcha.
But yeah, like could legitimately host a world championships or a big tournament like that. So really looking forward to hopefully playing it, or at least watching that event, because it's super exciting course. And then the tournament, Swedish Championships, there is a lot of sneaky talent in Sweden. There's a lot of young kids coming up. I think second place, I think he was 15, 16 years old, and his brother got 4th or 5th, I think. And both young teens, and just picture perfect form and really strong, and
ones to watch out for in the future.
For sure. And I mean, Linus Karlsson, he's on tour. He had a couple years there where he was dealing with some injuries, and I think played pretty well in Florida this year. So hopefully he's back on track, because he was like the neck and neck with Nicholas Antila before they both went on tour. I think they were both like 1035 rated and had only played in Europe. So Linus Karlsson definitely big name coming out of Sweden, and it goes deep. There's a lot of players that don't quite want to make that next step to play in the US, and I mean, a lot of people just don't think it's a feasible thing. And now with the European tours, like,
they don't need to.
Do they actually? Yeah. And I mean, European disc golf is very different. Style of courses, just the way tournaments are run, it just feels a bit more. And like, pro tour aside, like if you go to your local A tier in Canada, it's I mean, it's an A tier, but it's not like a well-oiled machine. Like Europe, you go to an A tier and it feels like an A tier.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, looking at that too, Max, is that the Swedish Nationals, that's an event that is truly a Swedish Nationals where only players from Sweden can play in it. Do you find that changes the event, gives it a little bit different intensity? Is it kind of more accolades in that if you do win it because you're the best in Sweden and you don't have outsiders coming into play?
Yeah, and I mean, I think I think the Canada and the US are the only countries that allow other competitors to play in their national championships,
Right.
because essentially every other, I mean, Europe for the most part, I mean, Finnish, Norwegian, any of those countries, it's just people of that country.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people were kind of questioning my playing that event because I don't live there anymore.
Right.
But I mean, I did, yeah, live there for 6 years. I think I played 3 national championships before I left. And yeah, so it is more of a, yeah, citizenship thing rather than a permanent residency.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do think it does bring a little, like, obviously you would want to see the best talent in the world at all these events, but
Right.
for it just to be a national championship, I think it does bring a kind of an extra level of pride,
Yeah.
and it's kind of weird when you, like, yeah, go to the Canadian Championships and it's just, oh, there's no real Canadians there. I mean, okay, Thomas is doing well, or
Yeah.
Sophia might be winning it, or but I mean, this year it's kind of like that where,
Yeah.
because I mean,
They-
last year it was essentially just all Canadians. There were
Yes.
a couple Americans, but I mean, it's not overwhelming.
Right.
But this year it looks like it's pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think
Canadians,
Daryl said that for the first week was just going to be Canadians only to register, and hopefully they were going to take up both the spots.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
at one point I had saw that there's over 500 registered, and I think there was 8 Americans, and that was it, and the rest were all Canadian. Now, of course, that's every group. That's the AMs, that's the pros, but
Yeah.
but overall, that's a pretty heavy Canadian
good
content.
percentage, yeah.
And as Daryl said, Daryl Banks, the TD, he was like, if that's the way it is, because last year he held that event, the RIP, and Gannon and everybody came up, so we thought, oh, you must want them all to come back again. But he was like, no, this is nationals, so if it's all Canadians, then he's happy with that.
Yeah, no, I like that idea with having giving the first bids to the Canadians.
Yeah.
It was weird last year with, and like, again, politics aside, with the being on the same weekend as Canadian Nationals in Clearwater.
Yes.
It was weird, and like, I don't know how many people who played Ripped, like in the Ontario or Eastern Canada, if they would have came
Yeah.
to Nationals if that tournament wasn't being run on the same weekend. But it did just kind of give it a weird, like, are you just diluting the Canadian talent?
Yeah. And didn't get that full best on best challenge that you're hoping to see. You know, you want to see Sophia and Chantel go against each other in Canada. You know, and now Rebecca Dawn coming out, and all of these strength in the FPO field, just to name that side. And the same thing happens on the, you know, Thomas did come out, so that's great because he would be one of those big names from the East. But you want to see all the best players at one spot for nationals.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we go with that, so when the Swedish Championships were done, you headed over to Worlds and you went to Lynchburg, Virginia, and then you jetted over back to Canada and you played the Nationals in Clearwater. And it was a great opportunity to see you, Thomas, Casey, Noah was out there. We got to always mention Riley because we slept on Riley a bit, who's one of our local pros, and he kind of played some good rounds there towards the end and reminded us not to sleep on him.
Yeah. That was during our fantasy picks.
Yeah, that's
Fantasy,
right.
Yeah.
So, and you were out there in Clearwater. Now, for you, what did you think after you played in Sweden, went down to Lynchburg, came up to Canada? Were you still feeling pretty strong? And how did the event go for you in your mind from where you were at that part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I usually feel like that's the stretch that I am the strongest, in the mid summer stretch. And Sweden, again, I do love that course, but I think I could have used, I can't remember what I played just before then, or if I didn't have that much practice rounds, even though I've played it countless times. I didn't need all that much practice, but
Yeah.
I don't think I felt like fully locked into all my game plan on every hole. And then Canadian Nationals was even more so. I think I only had one round in on the ski hill,
Okay.
Right.
and yeah, Jarring my memory, I do know we broke down. I was coming with Matt and Andre
Yes.
from Invermere driving to Clearwater, and we got a flat in like Golden,
Oh,
so we didn't make it far. And then we switched cars, and then made it to Clearwater late, and then I think I only had one round the next day, so I didn't, and not that all that much changed because I had played the B tier the year before, and won, so
yes.
didn't think I needed all that much practice, but again, altitude, different discs. They had made a few changes on the course, but so it didn't feel fully prepared for that event either. So I did kind of feel like I shortchanged myself in the preparation of those events. But I mean, I think for the most part, I mean, averaged well for rated rounds wise. I think I had one. Yeah, it was at the Wells Gray golf course that I had like a really average round there, and that kind of put me out of it, I think. And I don't think I started all that bad, but
Yeah.
just
When I was looking, Max, it looked like you said, is you were playing well, but it was that third day where you really kind of kicked it up a notch, and that's when you shot a bogey-free -11 that round, and that was like the hot round of the day. So, making it a 4-day tournament, if you were on that trajectory, that would have brought you probably to that first you were chasing. So,
yeah, no, and we did have some weird weather on the golf course. I think it was like hailing at one point and like super downpour. And late in the year, it was, I don't know if it was that cold. I might be remembering the year before as well, but I mean, beautiful area and really nice courses if anybody is interested to go up and pay them a visit. They did a really good job with that event as well. And I think I was just talking to Andre the other day, and coverage for that should be coming out pretty soon on Park Pro. So
That's good.
we'll be able to get some visuals on that. And I mean, spoiler alert, Thomas played incredibly. I'm not sure if anybody could have caught him if they were playing on all cylinders. So
Right.
don't feel too bad about a podium there. Casey also played very well. But I mean, you would have wanted to see a bit tighter match at the top, but Thomas played really well.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, looking at it too, right? So when you look at that tournament, you had 2 bogeys and you had 1 double bogey. That was the entire tournament. So that's a pretty darn clean, tournament.
Yeah,
We'd never shoot that for sure, of course. And then Thomas, as you said, had a great weekend. He went bogey free. Casey wasn't as clean with his rounds, but he would make up with it with his birdies and his eagles. And what it kind of had us thinking was, the 3 of you have played on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and you mentioned it a bit when you were saying the Canadian A tiers. Like, how far away are we to having those elite level courses? Because is this just a little too easy for our national events, for at least for the MPO field?
I think so, and I think he actually made it a bit softer in some places just to accommodate for speed of play, because there was probably like the best hole on the ski hill. They had to, and it was a really weird change that I didn't agree with, that they changed it from a par 4 that was like almost reachable, but it was creating crazy backups. Like I think we had a 3 or 4 card backup the year before at the B tier, but it just turned it into like this weird Mando blind, weird angle shot that I hated. But I would say for the most part, it's a soft to par courses.
Yeah.
But still like, I think fair enough scoring separation. Like a few tweaks here and there could have made him a bit better. And I think a couple holes are a bit more on the like random scoring separation as well. I think like hole 17 is one of those holes where you just throw it at a wall of trees and hope it gets through. But again, they've, like, for a town of that size. I mean, Clearwater feels like it's half the size of Invermere, which is
Right.
saying something. But yeah, that property is amazing. I've heard him talk about maybe expanding it higher up the ski hill,
Oh, okay.
which is very interesting
Hmm.
because it is very using up as much of the property that they have. Like a couple holes are borderline, like too close. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to stretch that out and make it a bit longer and more challenging. But again, you have to kind of design for the the talent as well. I mean it's me, Thomas, and Casey, and yeah, a few other guys that can definitely have the distance, but even just the consistency.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to just make super tight OBs everywhere to make sure everybody's getting bogeys, but it's such a fine line with course design where do you want to have fun disc golf, challenging disc golf, or good
Yeah. Yeah.
scoring separation? It's tough to make everybody happy there.
Yeah.
But I would say like Canada just needs more courses.
Yeah.
It's just it's sad to see such good, and it kind of comes down to even just more disc golfers or more disc golf communities. I mean, you go to Vancouver and you have a handful of good courses, but
Hmm.
I mean, you look at how many players there are. There should be 5, 10 more courses around.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, yeah, you can look at PEI. They have a huge community, and have also hosted a lot of big tournaments that have gotten a lot of good feedback that they just keep pumping out these courses that keep getting destroyed by hurricanes every second
Hmm.
year. But yeah, like because I don't even know what's left of what was it,
Hillcrest or
Hillcrest Farms.
Yeah.
right.
But apparently they do have a handful of great courses still out there. So,
Yeah. Well,
but
we had a chance to talk to the TDs last year, Ben and
J-
Jim.
Um.
Anyways, we
Yeah.
talked to them last year after the event, and it was kind of, again, like you said, that rebuild and that coming back. And it was, we can still do this, and we will do it, and we will keep rebuilding no matter how many hurricanes come through here because they're that passionate about their disc golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's tough because Canada's so big. Like it's so hard for people to travel
That's it.
coast to coast. Or, I mean, if you're coming from Alberta to Vancouver, it's what,
Still
15
13
hours.
hours,
Yeah.
14 hours
Yeah.
to drive. Yeah.
So
So,
it's a big ask for a lot of people. So and that's where, yeah, coming back to playing disc golf in Sweden, like they just have so many pockets of good courses that aren't far away.
Hmm.
So there's enough of a disc golf community an hour away, 2 hours away, like everywhere in the country. Where again, national parks or whatever, Canada's just differently like spread out essentially.
Yeah.
It's
mhm.
tough. It's tough to have that if you don't have a lot of the local population playing these courses.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm originally from England, so I know that European kind of travel etiquette ethic is what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say. Mentioned about 15 hours. You know, if I'm in England and I drive for 15 hours, I've gone across 8 or 9 countries.
Right.
Like I'm not still in the same country, not even in the same half of the country. So yeah, having all, it's okay to say like Sweden might have 10 or 15 or 20 or whatever the course is, but they're so tightly packed in there
Right.
as opposed to Canada having 20.
And
I'm
having
using
them
that as a rough
spread out.
number, but so spread out, it's just so hard to get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with it too, Max. So you go and you play in Sweden, you go play in the US, then you come back to Canada, then you hop on another plane and you head down for the WFDF Team Championships out in Australia, which was exciting to watch. What did you feel about that one?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. I
Yeah.
mean, definitely a long plane ride that I didn't love. I did the layover in Hawaii and broke it up there, so
Right.
that was a bit better. But I mean, even if you get to Sydney, it's still a 5-hour flight to Perth.
Yeah.
but my girlfriend's from Melbourne, so
Okay.
I definitely kind of had to do that. And then we also added on a month after that, stayed for Christmas and New Year's with her friends and family in Melbourne. So yeah, I definitely had an extended summer there, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, World Team Championships, my first introduction to that event. I mean, I didn't know it existed, but I've always kind of thought that whole WFDF thing was weird. How it was
Right.
like a World Championships. They have like world distance competitions, and it's like you can call it the world. It's kind of like that. Okay, the NBA championships are called the World Championships. Like it's an American sport.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can't call yourselves the World Championships if it's or the
Yeah. World
MLB
Series. Yeah.
World Series
Yeah.
exactly. So it was weird, and with the ultimate tie-ins, it's like I never really felt like that was a legitimate
Yeah.
disc golf event,
Or yeah.
um, which I think it is starting to grow outside of like as its own thing, which I would assume is on the horizon, especially with and like yeah, again with the World Games coming up in 2025, I'm
Yes.
Yeah.
not sure how they're integrating that if it is with the ultimate frisbee or
Right.
yeah, I'm not sure what
Yeah, I'm pretty
the
sure from what I had looked at is ultimate frisbee does happen at those World Games, and it has been happening since 2016 or some date like year like that, and that was the last time that disc golf was a part of it. So this is kind of the coming back of disc golf in China, and then with the hopes that this might start getting us a look at the Olympics as well. But with
yeah,
this event coming up in China, it's going to be one Canadian female and one Canadian male to go. So it's not going to be like the team event that you were part of.
Yeah.
yeah, which is crazy. I mean, great to get disc golf back in it, but and yeah, like I'm assuming Thomas is saying yes to that opportunity, but if he doesn't,
You're
I would
ready?
love to go.
Yeah.
I've definitely sent in my application and hoping that Thomas
Has
is under
commitments.
the weather that week
Yeah.
or yeah. But but yeah, I mean great to see disc golf take that next step and yeah, if it
Yeah.
turns into a Olympics thing in the future, that's amazing. Which I mean, this World Team Championships thing, it it definitely felt bigger than just disc golf.
Okay.
Obviously, you have your country jerseys on, and you're traveling as a team, playing as a team. I have some background in that kind of format. In Sweden, every year they do a club championships. So it's you have your singles Swedish championships, and then you have a doubles Swedish championships,
Okay.
and then you have the club Swedish championships. So then you, as a club, pick your five, six, seven top guys and girls, and yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think we had the like age protected or anything.
Right.
Like we didn't have to have an FPO or an MP40 or anything, but it was yeah, team versus team, two doubles matches, two singles matches, and yeah, match play. So I did have some because I mean, a lot of people don't play match play or
Yeah.
don't play a lot of doubles,
Don't know about it. Yeah.
um, especially when you are very focused on yeah pro tour or just playing individual events at the highest level. There is a lot of differences in doubles, and especially
Mm-hmm.
I think we only played. Hmm, now, did we play best shot or alternate shot? I can't
So
even remember now.
I
But yeah.
think
So
it was
in
both, wasn't it?
Yeah, there could have been a little bit of both depending on which match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just completely drawing a blank. But yeah, I mean, there even within doubles, there's that. Okay, if we're playing best shot, because yeah, no, we did at some point we were choosing what holes you or your partner was going to tee off on.
Right.
So there was definitely
Gotcha.
some alternate shot in there, which again, you have to game plan for and
Yeah.
really know your partner. And a lot of us, it was our first. I mean, I think maybe Casey, I guess Noah had played it before, and some of the older guys, a lot of those guys were multiple time team championship players. But
Yeah.
I mean, I got matched up with some of the girls, and it was like, okay, like I know of you, I don't know your game in and out, so I don't
Right.
know, like, okay, we've played a couple practice rounds together, but you like it really helps to know your team's strengths and weaknesses and try
Right.
to game plan it so you guys have the best chance at winning.
Yeah.
Which I think, I mean, would have been nice to maybe have a bit more time learning each other's games. And then I think a couple times we got caught out with not knowing who was paired up with who until like right before the event or right before the matchup. So it was
Oh
like,
wow.
all right, I thought I was playing doubles with you. Now we're not. Now I
Right.
gotta figure out in the walk to hole 13, which if I'm
Who
teeing off
starts?
on
Yeah.
evens or odds or whatever. So
Well,
it was a bit hectic at times, but I think a lot of the countries there was their first time ever playing the event, so I'm sure we were a lot better off than a lot of countries. But
Yeah.
it almost is just as much just a logistics thing of like getting your team all on the same page and making sure everybody's gelling and morale's high. I mean, we had a lot of people with us that weren't playing or didn't play much.
yeah.
And then Craig and the guys there, like they did a really good job of just having the information. And like we had team meetings essentially every morning and every night to just kind of recap or get everybody on the same page. So it is very much a team event,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
really shows.
We had a chance to talk to Karen Martell, Colleen McInnes, Noah. They told us all about their experiences down there. How did you feel the whole tournament was as a whole? Like you mentioned about the fluidness of those A tiers out in Sweden. How did you feel like the whole event was run?
Um, I think there was some hiccups here and there, but again, to host a tournament of that magnitude with that many teams and that much like moving parts, I mean, we had a couple lightning delays that
Oh.
Right.
were very not poorly handled, but information wasn't getting to us very clearly.
Right.
And even like between matches, because I mean, match play, you can play 10 holes and you can be done,
Yeah.
or you can go to 18 and need a playoff.
Right.
So some matches are ending early, and then you're like, okay, we should have an hour or an hour and a half until our next match. Let's go get food or whatever. And this happened to us, I think it was in the knockout stages.
Oh.
The tournament staff had said the match after the one you're playing will start a half an hour or 45 minutes after the last group comes in.
Right.
So we kind of did the math, and we were like, okay, there's still teams on the course, so we at least
Oh, good.
have probably an hour
Yeah.
to till we have to be back. So we went to the grocery store, and then somebody texted us and was like, we start in 20 minutes. And yeah, we were just like how does that happen?
Yeah.
So then we had to rush back to the course, somehow game plan who we were matching up with, and then
Yeah.
go. So
Wow.
a few instances where it was like, okay, I get it that it's a lot of, because then there was like a WhatsApp chat for team captains and all that, and then
Right.
that was supposed to be relayed to us, and then some information wasn't even going to the captain's chat, it was getting emailed out or whatever. Half of the people don't have data, like they're just
Right.
running off
the
of Wi-Fi or whatever.
the
Yeah.
logistical
So-
nightmare of it for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, again, courses amazing. A lot of people would recognize one of the courses from old footage from the Aussie Open in
Right.
2017, I think.
Yeah.
Which course was it that had the each hole was kind of represented by the country? Which
Yeah,
course
so
was that?
At
this was
Mundering
the new
or
course.
Yeah. Okay.
They called it the World's Course. It
Right.
was specifically designed for this tournament, and that was really cool. There was one course from Ala that was
okay.
represented, and Raptors Knoll.
Yeah.
Um,
How
and
closely
like again,
we heard that maybe it wasn't as close as what people were thinking it was, but
Yeah.
yeah, like you could have convinced me that they did that afterwards and just said, "Oh, let's just chuck some
put the
local or
name.
yeah
Yeah.
courses from each of these countries." But again, really well done. Maybe forehand heavy. I
Okay.
started to get some rotator cuff
Mm,
issues towards actually during the Aussie Open, so the week after.
Right.
But I mean, that World's Course, I think I was throwing forehand off of a tee on 11 tee shots,
okay.
um, and like power forehands. Like a lot of these are long par fours or par fives, so
Yeah.
very physical course. And then, I mean, just the terrain. It's so different than what we have over here in Europe. Very dry, very spiky, very. I mean, there actually wasn't, besides the birds, I didn't see all that much wildlife. There was a couple of these like lizards that we kept seeing, but
Right.
Okay.
but no snakes, no spiders. Um, I guess the kangaroos were only there like at morning and dusk, so didn't
Okay.
get to see too many of them in Perth.
Right.
Saw plenty in Melbourne, but yeah, I mean, they did a really good job of prepping the course. It was in really good condition, even though it was yeah dry and
Yeah.
not as lush as it has been in other seasons. But
Right.
Yeah.
but
Well,
Yeah.
again, really well done for the skill levels as well. Like you have to think, I think it was Hong Kong. They had maybe one person that had played disc golf before. The rest were ultimate players that they had just
really?
recruited for this.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so there was probably 20% of the teams there that were clearly like very novice.
Okay.
Right.
So they have to keep that into account. And that's where I think, because once they went to like the knockout stages, it was the top half is playing the world's course, the bottom half is playing the Mundering course, and I think they had it on a softer, like shorter layout than usual.
Right.
So they were kind of always playing the shorter version of it.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, then you have to take into account there's a lot of women, a lot of MP40 or yeah, even the FP40s
Hmm.
Right.
playing the same layouts. So it is a challenge to tick all the boxes there, but I think
Yeah.
they did a really good job.
Oh,
Nice.
that's good. Well, Max, when we were watching it, I think it was called like Daryl and I were all over the WFDF. We wanted to know all about it. We were trying to get as much content as we can. There was some of um, the content from the team that was filming down there, but a lot of it came from all of the players on Team Canada. And I think it was Colleen who was live streaming the playoff you were in. And like we were watching that battle, you've got this whole round for the whole team that's all now on your shoulders. How stressful was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I was happy that it was me. I yeah, obviously have a lot of experience in the sport of disc golf and have played in a lot of playoffs or sudden death scenarios. And I was happy, like my competitor, what was his name? Nestori Tukinen.
Okay.
We had just played our singles match, and I can't remember. I think we ended up in a draw,
Right.
but the whole day, like he's a huge, like can throw an absolute mile backhand, forehand, but he was very shaky on the putts
Right.
throughout the round. So I was like, I'd be happy if this is our matchup, which it was. And if anybody hasn't seen it, he ended up throwing out of bounds
Mhm.
pretty devastatingly to put himself in a pretty bad situation, and even put himself into the scenario that he could have saved it, which
Right.
was even more impressive. But yeah, so I was happy it was me. And also a very interesting wrinkle to that tournament that every playoff is different, because we did go into a playoff later in the tournament.
Yeah.
And it was Casey that ended up being in that singles sudden death playoff. So in each stage, it's all predetermined, but each stage it was a different, like it would be MPO1 versus MPO1 in the gold medal match. But
Right.
in our, when we played Finland, I think this was maybe the quarterfinals or one of the knockout stages. Then it's me, which I think I was MPO 2 or 3, which was also a very good perk that we had. I think the ratings update before we locked in, because we had our roster locked in months before the event, but you had to put your highest rated MPO as MPO1. So it was always coming down to ratings.
Okay.
But the ratings update before it locked in, Casey, me, and Thomas were all 10-13 rated.
Right.
So then we could have just ran the table with whatever matchup we wanted. So that was, but again, I think Casey was our number one. He
Okay.
was highest rated at the time
Right.
of the cutoff. So it was like, so then I might have been MPO 3 at that time. So it was like, Casey having Thomas as your MPO 2 and me as your MPO 3, like
Yeah,
we
it's
should
a good way to be.
It was a good
Yeah.
situation for Canada.
It was a very good situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that playoff situation, it could have been the FPOs playing or an MP40 playing against their MP40. So that was a really cool aspect of it that I didn't really take into account. Not that you want to go into a sudden death playoff, but
Right.
that's where it really helps to have a really deep team and strong players at every discipline. Like you have a Stuart McKissick playing for your MP40. I think we're taking that bet every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that kind of brings you up to the end of 2024. Now,
I was going to say I had one little kind of comment in there with all that travel that Max was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was Carmen Sandiego or Max who traveled more, but
yeah, exactly.
in 2024. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So last year we were covering, we were trying to do updates on all our Canadian pros. We were finding out what everyone was up to. And then kind of as a matter of coincidence, we kind of struck up a bit of a friendship with somebody on Instagram. And I just want to play you a little thing here that we had. So Jeremy kind of was running the bit of the update and we had a little bit of fun with it, but I reached out to somebody, but I just want to play a little clip here. Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
I have a surprise for you. We've mentioned something a couple of times.
Okay.
So I reached out to somebody.
Suspense is building, my friend.
It is. So, hey, my name is Daryl and I have a podcast in Canada with my friend Jeremy. We mentioned you in a recent episode and this is the response I got.
Hi, Daryl and Jeremy. So Max Regitnig actually used to do some commentary on the Gatekeeper channel for the Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour. And we've met each other like multiple times before, like we're friends, you know, and he should be able to say my name, but he kept butchering it like during the Skåne Open coverage. He was like, Fritjof, like stuttering, trying to pronounce my name. But yeah, the correct way to say it is Fritjof. So yeah, there you have it. Cheers, guys.
Fritjof Fagergren.
Is now a friend of the show.
I'm like shocked. That's amazing. Fritjof Fagergren. Did I do okay? So that was it, Max. We reached out to him because I think we were talking about you and you were in a tournament and close to him.
Yeah.
And I tried to say his name and then Daryl said, I don't think you're getting it right at all. So he reached out right to Fritjof and then he added the comments about you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, can you give us the correct pronunciation? And I think we mentioned that we were talking about him when we were talking to you. And he said, yeah, I know Max. And then that whole story came out. So when I reached out to him, knowing that you were going to be on this episode, I said, do you have a question for Max? So he wants to know, moving into 2025, what are your disc golf plans for 2025?
just wanted to get on record. He just butchered my last name, so fair game. I mean, a lot of people don't know if it is hard G's.
Before you go on, let's get, because we had this issue when we were first speaking to Sophia. We went through Donica, Donecki, all these different. We finally got it right. So, what is the correct pronunciation?
Yeah, so people see the G's and not sure if they're hard or soft. So it is hard G's, Regitnig.
Okay.
Regitnig.
Max Regitnig.
Perfect.
But yeah, funny story with Fritjof there. I mean, yeah, we have met countless times, and sure, but I to this day have never met another person named Fritjof. So I didn't even know that was a Swedish name. So fair enough. But
fair enough.
But yeah, so 2025 plans. Taking a little step back, not playing as much of the Pro Tour, playing a little more local stuff to start off the year. Hoping to do majority of the European like disc golf Pro Tour events now that they have the two majors there. So yeah, that's kind of my main focus for this year, and then whatever comes after that happens. Because a lot of that is qualifications through points or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I played 3 years on the Pro Tour. It takes a toll on you. And long year last year, playing into the November, December. Just felt like needed a little break. And I mean, it's nice to play some local stuff as well. Try to boost the Canadian scene here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, you guys will be seeing me at some Albertan tournaments and some more local stuff. But yeah, I mean, still touring full time, but doing a bit more locally, and I still haven't even locked in everything. So very up for some fluctuation there. And then talked about this a little bit off camera, but have parted ways with Discmania.
Okay.
Have been sponsored by them since 2019, I think was my first year. So it's been a minute. It's going to be, I mean, it is refreshing to kind of throw an open bag or potential with another company. But to throw some molds that I haven't thrown in a very long time, or have been wishing that I had that slot in my bag again. But yeah, so a little refresh in 2025, looking to throw some new plastic and play some new tournaments and
having Casey as a friend, as he kind of, are you kind of eyeing anything out of his bag?
I've never been too hot on the Prodigy, so I don't think he has all that much there. I don't know how much Innova he still has. But I have a close friend in town as well, Jesse Tamalti. Most people in Canada should know him. He does a lot of the stuff with, I mean, now, he's been sponsored by Discmania for a little bit here as well. But rated his collection the other night and picked out some testers. So,
nice.
But yeah, I mean, I've a lot of friends, and my dad has a pretty
good
impressive collection of discs there. So the next time I'm over there, I'm sure I'm coming back with an empty duffel, or going there with an empty duffel bag and maybe filling it up. But
that's probably the good thing about having somebody else that has a big collection, is that you can get discs that are already beat in, right? You're not just getting brand new plastic and having to try and figure out, how they fly.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, we do it. Sorry, I was just saying we do an A tier. We do a fantasy A tier. We did the fantasy A tier last year. We'll be doing it again this year, where we cover all the A tiers, and then after the events happen, we interview the MPO and the FPO and the TD for the event. So hopefully, we'll get you on again sometime next year as well, or this year.
Yeah, it could be as soon as the newest A tier in the spring runoff when we were talking about with Noah. Are you thinking about, because that's probably one of the closer ones for you to get to, is it? Out to Lethbridge?
For sure. I think it's, probably 4.5 hours. I was actually looking at I think there's a C tier there in the end of March. Might be playing that. But yeah, I think spring runoff is the same weekend as maybe one of the pro tours in Washington,
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it's Champions. No, it can't be Champions Cup. Anyways, it was the same weekend as another tournament on the pro tour that I was like still maybe gonna do a last ditch effort to play, but if that doesn't work out, yeah, spring runoff is definitely on my list of potential tournaments. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think Jeremy, you're playing it. Daryl, you're not.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, not yet. There's still there's still hope.
Still hope.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, so definitely a possibility.
Good. Well, Max, I didn't want to leave Freedy off just yet, because the one thing that we also learned is that, because he was also wondering, and you kind of got to it there, if you were going to do any SDGPT events, and it sounds like if you're out that way, you might pick up a couple. But we found out that he's got a disc golf podcast in Sweden as well, and it's Spelarmotet is what it's called. Whatever that means, I don't know. But
Spielemotet.
Spelarmotet? You just probably love us trying to pronounce.
Means players meeting, but I didn't know that was him. That's probably on me for never listening to the podcast. But yeah.
So I guess I was going to quickly say so when you do head out there, not only that, you can I've been on the Canadian podcasts, been on any other ones you have, and now you've got the Swedish podcast already lined up. He's waiting for you out there.
Yeah, no, I did a Swedish podcast before I went. It might have been the first year on tour that I did it from the US. Now I can't remember. But there's a lot of good Swedish podcasts there. Not that, I mean, I'm not a huge consumer, but they have a good following. And then so Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour, I haven't looked at the schedule where the tournaments would fall, but I know Mikkelbui is definitely a huge part of why Swedish disc golf is becoming bigger every year. He's a big part of why the Pro Tour has had the cooperation that they have in Sweden. So he's essentially running the Swedish Disc Golf Pro Tour. And they've grown a lot in the last, ever since I left, really, which was kind of poor timing, but yeah, they've got a really good thing going on there, pushing Swedish disc golf, because also, like, World Team Championships, the Swedish team isn't involved. So that was, and I don't think they've ever been involved.
Right.
So I'm not sure where that disconnect is, but hopefully because they're definitely not short of talent or the organization. Like, they have a national team that they go to Finland every year to train with and all this. So they definitely have the infrastructure, but I'm curious to see to hear why they aren't pushing for that angle. Because I think the last one was in Estonia.
Yeah.
Fair enough if you don't want to travel to Australia, but Estonia is definitely no long haul flight, but
no 15-hour drive.
Exactly.
So there you go. Well, we're kind of getting towards the end here, Max, and one of the things I was kind of thinking about is I look at disc golf and I kind of noticed that you can be a great player, Daryl.
Yeah.
But you really need to have a good support network and team around you, especially if you want to grow and succeed in the sport. Because it's kind of like that old saying, no man is an island, is really what it's like. You need that support network.
That is that saying. I've heard that saying. Yeah, that's a very good segue, Jeremy.
You've taken a relaxing cruise. However, the ship goes down. You manage to swim to an island, and fortunately for you, there's an 18-hole disc golf course. Which 3 discs are you taking with you on the island?
It's that part of the show where we want to find out what 3 discs you could not live without. In this hypothetical situation, you've taken this backpack, you've got these 3 discs. You get to this island, you're lucky to have them with you. It started off as putter, mid-range, and driver. It can be any combination of 3 discs. Which 3 discs would you like to take with you on the island, Max?
And we've asked a lot of people this question, and if they are sponsored, it's pretty tough for them to stray, right? Because it's no one's going to say his 3 prodigies. He's sponsored. It makes sense. but you've got a lot of freedom right now. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear your answer.
I do have a lot of freedom, but I probably will throw majority of Discmania this year regardless, just because I have so much of it and I have
You
a lot
know
of
it.
discs that I've seasoned to a point where I really don't want to let go of that slot in my bag.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those discs that I would probably cry if I had to not throw anymore. But the Sky God 3 P2, that's
Okay.
been my throwing putter ever since I think 2018 when it came out. And I
Gotcha.
have one in my bag that I've had since then.
Wow.
So that's definitely a staple in my bag that I'd have to bring to this theoretical 18
Yeah.
hole island course.
Yeah.
Um, the Glow PD2s have always been a run that I've been very sought after. I love it for the forehand. It's a bit on the understable side for a PD2, which I also have a stack in various seasoned conditions.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably definitely that for a driver to fill the gap. I'll go for something versatile. The FD2
Mhm.
backhand forehand combo, um, specifically the three-tooled C line that they came out. I think it was Innova still
Right.
producing them, so that might be a little. And that's another thing. A lot of the
Yeah.
Discmania players this year have to throw only Discmania produced
Right.
molds.
Yeah.
So a lot of those, yeah, I mean, half of Gannon's bag surely
Just went.
is no longer,
Yeah.
since he adopted a lot of Eagle's old discs,
Yes.
which yeah, I have a ton of Innova molded Discmania that I'd definitely not want to part ways with. So happy
Right.
to still be able to throw them.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. And then the add-on to this that a lot of people have it stumps a lot of people, but some people enjoy this part. If you could transport one 18-hole disc golf course that happened to be on this island, and you've kind of mentioned one that you earlier on that you think was the best course that you've ever played. So if you could take an 18-hole disc golf course, which one would it be?
Yeah, I still kind of have to put the nod to all the disc golf center. And it's kind of a cheat because I think they have two full 18s and I think it's only a 9-hole, but so what is that?
218s,
40,
36.
45?
45 holes?
Yeah.
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 So
But yeah, all the white is definitely the creme de la creme
The epitome.
championship level 18.
Yeah.
now, is that the one, Max, when I was looking on UDisc? And if anybody hasn't looked, go out and do it because the pictures in that just show just a glimpse of how awesome the course is.
Yeah.
Where hole 1 has that beautifully wooden carved bird archway on the tee box. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's new. I mean, new to the new owners. I'm not sure if they had that like last year, like if they did that for Swedish Championships or something, but they have added a lot of those kind of touches where well, and I mean, to be fair, before it got sold, there was the groundskeeper that did a lot of that woodworking, like handrails, stairs or walkways, just a lot of attention to detail, nice touches that just did kind of elevate that course and just made it really feel like a professional disc golf course. And I think it is one of the few pay to play courses in Sweden,
Right.
but definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of footage from that course from various tournaments, so definitely just plug in All Disc Golf Center on YouTube, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some footage to watch there.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I did look at that too. And as you said, it is a pay to play. And we have a few courses around here, and you'll have people kind of say, oh, I got to pay $5. And it's like, when you compare it to ball golf, $5 is nothing. And I think with that course, they're actually when you convert it to Canadian, it's about 16, $17 they're able to get. And just tells you what kind of level of course that
Right.
people are happily
Yeah.
paying that money to go and play it.
Yeah. Which is still next to nothing, like you said, compared to bowl golf.
Yeah, to $150 ball golf round or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So just-
and they've always had like this little pro shop thing, that did kind of give it that extra it just kind of felt a bit more professional. And yeah, if you go into, I think OTB Europe is putting up a lot of, because I think that's what that this is going to become. They're building this huge pro shop on the property
Right.
for multi-use, but I think it's becoming OTB Europe warehouse. So
Right.
Gotcha.
they're expanding that a lot this coming year for this term. Disc Golf Pro Tour tournament.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So just to recap, Sky God 3 P2, PD2, and FD2.
The twos.
That was
Yeah.
it. The twos. Yeah.
There you
Good
go.
selection.
Good stuff.
There you go.
Well, Max, it's been awesome having you on the show. But before we let you go, this is that part of it where we want to give you a moment. If there's anything you want to shout out, if you want to put out some potential names that you want sponsors to call you, because they're probably all got their phones ready and they're just waiting for you to say their names. So
Can't thank any sponsors at the moment, but definitely sending out my fishing rod, trying to see what's out there. In talks with some people now, but I'm not too I thought of people put too much emphasis on that. But yeah, retailers definitely open for some conversations there.
okay.
But yeah, really, I mean, it is very exciting to be able to throw an open bag.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's like to unlock your game. Like, I don't think it's going to shave up strokes off my game, but
Right.
it is nice to have that freedom and to try out some new stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've been sponsored with Discmania for 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute.
You can find out what that Berg's all about that you were hearing about years ago or something like that.
I used to throw a lot of it, and I think it is going back in the bag.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
awesome.
Love it.
Stay tuned is what I'm hearing, Jeremy.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome,
Being
Max.
interesting in the bag.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you do get out to Spring Runoff, I'll be sure to connect with you. And we look forward. I know all of our listeners and the Canadian players are excited to hear that you're going to be in Canada more, because it'll be a chance for us to see you. And those, if someone's still holding on to one of those 3 crown discs that you had out a couple years ago, they can get an autograph above the stamped one and that kind of thing. So, but thank you so much for coming on.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You bet.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Daryl, we have Max on. You know what we just did? We capped it off. We've now had the top MPO players in Canada, the top 5 as per rating last year, all 5 of them on the show now that we've got Max there too.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And every one of them, amazing people and amazing conversations and interviews.
And especially Max, like, you know, we mentioned about his voice, right? He's just got that lovely voice that you just want to keep listening to, and you know, full of great knowledge. You know, and this is the thing that there's a couple of things. One, I think it's been a running theme in all of our top level people that we've spoken to is that, oh yeah, I played volleyball in high school. I played basketball in high school. I did this. I was always on this team. Like they're born athletes. Like
yes,
they're always involved in sport in some way, and just the fact that the how worldly traveled he is.
Yes.
Like I didn't know he grew up or spent some time down in New Jersey. That's awesome to hear. Then going from there, having to get back to we spoke to Sam Western on the Around the Basket episode a couple of weeks ago, saying that he was actually dual citizenship and he had to get his English passport.
Yes.
You know, things like that. And listening to Max to say that he had to go back just to get it in time, and then, you know, like what is it you said? Spent 6 years there last summer?
Yes.
Or one summer? Yeah. That's awesome.
No, it was fantastic. And I'm excited. I'm glad I got a chance to have that quick conversation with him at Nationals and, you know, see him going up against Casey and Thomas and having that battle at Nationals and then going and being part of the same team in Australia.
Yeah.
Just such a good group of Canadian players that we've got.
Oh, I mean, not that we talked about it, and it's, you know, one of the highlights, I guess, of seeing Max on coverage on the Park Pro. We've got to talk about the ace.
Oh, yes.
At I think it was hole 14 at, I can't remember what course it was. Max knows, but go check Max Ace Park. Type in Max Regitnig Park Pro Ace. You'll find it.
It's out there.
It's out
but
there.
if you've been listening to the podcast this long, we thank you as always. We appreciate you. Do us a favor, subscribe, hit that bell, follow us on Instagram, do all of those good things. Just help us grow this podcast more. We'll keep getting discounts for you. We've got them listed out there. They're on our socials. And then if you've done all that and you do want to support us further, you can check out our Patreon. There's a way to support us there, as well as you can go to our link tree and you can buy us a beer. But that's okay. So we're good with all of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, and to all our Patreon members who have signed up, we want to thank them. We appreciate that support that they're doing, and to stick around because we're going to be getting ready. Take a quick break.
Yeah.
Go on.
Big guest.
Yeah, we got a big guest tonight. We got Sophia Donica joining us and telling us about her time at the
Supreme Flight.
Supreme Flight, the first Disc Golf Pro Tour event. Also talk a little bit about her trip to New Zealand. And we got a lot of other things you and I are going to chat about, including a review of a disc golf item.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And a mail call. Look
Yeah.
at all this stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Daryl, if you...
I've never thrown...
Yeah.
Well, I have an MD3 or an MD1, I think.
Okay.
And maybe an FD1.
You've got an MD3.
An MD3 and an FD1.
Yes.
And I think that's the only Discmania that I have.
Okay. Which one of those would you take out and where would you take it?
Well, you've looked at the alley course.
Yes. Oh, it'd be hole one.
Hole
I don't
one.
know how long it is, but I would just want to throw it underneath this beautifully
Right.
wooden carved archway.
What are you throwing?
I'm going to throw the FD because I'm guessing it's probably a longer
FD?
hole.
Okay,
I'm going to
so we're
need that
gonna throw
extra
the FD.
distance.
We're going to throw it. Maybe we won't make the basket. Maybe it's a par 4. Maybe we'll have to throw a second shot as well.
Oh, then could we get one of those Sky God 3s that he was talking about?
Sky God 3 P2.
Yes.
Yeah, we can get one of those.
Okay. And
We're
what are we
gonna-
going to do with that?
We're going to throw it at the basket.
Okay.
Yeah, we might be 150 away. We're going to throw it at the basket,
Yeah. Straight at it.
straight at it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's got any left and right turn, but it's going to go straight at it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But because, we're throwing it, right?
Yeah. It's you. It's me.
Sorry, Sam's saying we got to get a splice. It's going to hit the chains.
Yeah. Well,
We're going to be jumping for joy. We're going to be shouting something in Swedish.
Ale.
That's what I was going to say, but no. It's going to hit the chains,
Yeah.
but there's only one thing it's going to do
There's only one thing it could do, especially
Yeah,
for these two guys.
for these two guys.
It's going to chain out.
Thanks, everybody.
See you shortly.